Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session on language and understanding. So this is going to be our morning session. Morning. And unlike the first panel session that we had, this time we're not expecting our speakers to rush things, and they actually have 20 minutes to present their paper, and then we'll have 10 minutes for questions from the audience. So it's going to be a little bit more relaxed than our previous performance. So our first speaker is Mati Shufan, is a PhD student at the Technion, interested in philosophy of mind, epistemology, and philosophy of technology, and today researching philosophy and AI. With a background in cultural research, summa cum laude from Tel Aviv University, and years of experience as a media educator who established new curricula for digital literacy, he researches the strange new relationships forming between humans and artificial intelligent agents. His focus is on how our minds have adapted to technology in the past and how we can learn to critically understand the intelligent machines of the future. Thank you, Mati.
So hi everyone. I'm Mati Shufan. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and present some ideas from my PhD dissertation. Today I would like to talk about a specific issue that I think represents a disruption in our current environment. A disruption indeed, that's the model I would like to show, that the D stands for tool human entity. And I would like to elaborate a little bit more about how I think AI agents or some AI systems might change what Daniel Dennett will call our intentional stance. So I'm interested in philosophy of mind, and the first thing you need to do when you talk about philosophy of mind is to define the kind of mind that you're talking about. I'm working within the framework of Daniel Dennett, and according to Daniel Dennett, the human mind is an intentional system because it can be predicted from the intentional stance. Actually, Dennett says that we adopt the intentional stance to predict the behavior of very complicated systems. So we attribute the mental states, beliefs, desires to the human mind. It works as a predictive strategy. That's what makes the human mind an intentional system. Then it actually says that we can adopt different stances. For example, if I want to predict the behavior of a medium-sized physical objects, I can do it based on their physical properties. I have this bottle, and I predict that it will fall, and wait for it. My prediction was successful. I have adopted a physical stance, and I can do it because I know about the physical properties. With more complicated systems, for example, my phone or my alarm clock, I can predict the behavior of my alarm clock based on what it is designed to do. So I'm adopting the design stance. I know that it will alarm in 20 minutes because it was designed to alarm in 20 minutes. Now, in very complicated system where the physical properties are very complex, or I don't know what they were designed to do, I'm adopting the intentional stance. I'm attributing intentions to those systems because it helped me predict their behavior. Now, it is a useful predictive strategy if I know about, according to Dennett, the epistemic needs of these systems, their perceptual capabilities, and their biography or evolutionary heritage, as was mentioned earlier. So I assume there are those complicated systems. By default, humans assume that they are rational agents that will act based on their desires, and the desires is that something that they ought to have given their evolutionary background, and that helped me predict their behavior. So I'm adopting the intentional stance. That's an instinct humans developed through evolution by natural selection. Very useful instinct, very helpful, and we are glad that we have it. Now, today, there's a problem, a specific problem with some AI agents that might be designed to exploit this specific instinct. Because according to Dennett, we adopt the intentional stance towards anything that seems to talk sensibly to us. So I'm adopting the intentional stance when this AI agent talks to me, but then I might discover that it is not a real agent, so I come to doubt my own instincts. Because when every interaction, at least online, might be fake, then it asks, people are either disengaged or become hyper-skeptical. It might lead to an erosion of trust in society. We doubt our own instincts. Then it asks, just imagine that every time you call your mother, you ask her to go through a CAPTCHA test. We don't want that. So that's the kind of problem that Dennett presents. Solutions mainly focus either on the tools, like regulating them, marking them, limiting the outputs of AI systems and so on, or on humans, educating humans how to use AI system, literacy and so on. But I think what's missing in this picture is that something has changed in the epistemic environment that we live in today. Epistemic environment, meaning the environment in which we design, develop, or deploy knowledge. So something changed in this environment today, and the argument that I would like to make is that the AI era actually poses an epistemic problem. That's why it requires an epistemic response. And the question that arises is, okay, so what can we do to successfully change? What can we do to adapt? Or at least what can we do to recalibrate? By we, I mean what can be done for the intentional stance to be more equipped to still be successful in this new epistemic environment that we work within. Now, when you make this kind of argument or question, you first need to explain, why do I even say that there is a disruption in the epistemic environment? What causes this epistemic problem that leads to a disruption? And my argument is that the epistemic disruption is caused because there is a conflict between at least what we know about the epistemic background of some AI systems and what we know or can know about teleological constraints. I will argue that humans share with AI agents some tools, some epistemic tools, while they don't share, by fact, their evolutionary heritage. We share with AI systems AI technologies, but we don't share the same biography. So we know as a fact that AI systems were trained on huge amounts of data, books and videos and images and so on. These are epistemic technologies that we can also use. We are familiar with these epistemic technologies. Some of us read the same book, so at least we have access to the epistemic technologies that were used to train AI agents. That is a fact. Another fact is that we are not sharing the same biological heritage. We don't share with AI tools the same evolutionary trace. We don't share with them the same biology. So it creates a conflict that then leads to a disruption in our epistemic environment. Another way to make this argument is actually to try to model it in what I will call the model. That's, as I said, tool human entity. And the purpose here is to show how exactly this disruption looks like. Because usually when humans adopt the intentional stance, so as I said, you adopt the intentional stance to predict the behavior of other humans because you are aware of their epistemic needs, their perceptual capabilities, and their biography. That is why the intentional stance works as a predictive strategy. Now let's say you want to predict the behavior of a dog. That's also a very complicated system. You can predict the behavior of a dog because you are familiar with its evolutionary trace. You actually partially share the evolutionary trace with dogs, so it gives you enough information to successfully predict its behavior. If I see a dog digging in the sand, then I can say, the dog thinks that there is a bone there, and he looks for it. And I can say that because I know that the dog has to eat. And so it will be a reliably predictive strategy to adopt the intentional stance. This is if I want to predict the behavior of a dog. If I want to predict the behavior of other complicated systems with whom I don't share the same biography or heritage, let's say I need to predict the behavior of a computer playing chess. Okay, so I'm not sharing the same epistemic background. That's a determinist algorithm there. I'm not sharing the same books or videos or images. So I can adopt the intentional stance, but saying he wants to win, or he wants to control the center, or he wants to take my queen, because I know that it was designed to operate in a specific field, in this game of chess. I'm actually adopting the intentional stance towards what I know that he have to do, because I'm taking into consideration its very limited biography. Now, one can say that you even adopt the intentional stance. It is a helpful strategy to adopt the intentional stance towards a computer playing chess, because you know about the guy or the girl who developed this system, about you know everything about the software engineer. Okay? Either way, the intentional strategy works in these cases. AI agents, I would argue, present a rupture here, because now with AI systems we are familiar with the tools that they are powered by. AI agents are powered by epistemic technologies that we know about, that is a fact, but we don't know, or we are not really sure what they are really about, what's their rationality, what's their biography, what is this thing. And this, I would argue, is new. That's what causes the disruption in our epistemic environment. Now, usually when something is changed in our epistemic environment, what needs to be done for the intentional stance to be stabilized is that we will at least not only share the same epistemic technologies with the entities whose behavior we want to predict, but that we will have a good incentive to do that. By, if you try to learn from a conceptual analysis of different epochs where new epistemic technologies were introduced into our environment, you can see that in each epoch, or in each time, the intentional stance has actually recalibrated. We still attribute intentions, beliefs, and desires to other entities, but in each time we do it slightly differently because there are now new epistemic new epistemic technologies in our world. For example, if you take literacy, okay, so literacy as now? Yes. Now you hear me? Yeah. Should I start over? No. So, yeah, now I need to stand. That's the challenging thing. So literacy separated intentions from actual physical presence. Right? If I'm a merchant selling something to a customer 400 years BC, okay? So we're in Athens, and I'm a merchant selling something to a customer. The merchant trusts that the customer will pay him back, not only because he said so, but because he's now textually bound. Right? So I'm attributing these mental states to this customer, but I'm taking into consideration the fact that the customer knows that I know that he signed some contract. So though I can still attribute mental states, but they are now slightly different mental states or intentions, because me, the customer, and the merchant share the same epistemic tool. Let's jump to print, okay? So 14th or 15th century, print standardized different text. It is because of typography that I can actually attribute intentions to, let's say I'm going to a doctor and he prescribes something for me, and I trust, I'm saying this doctor wants me to get better, and I can trust this decision that I'm making, this prediction strategy, because I know that the doctor read some specific books that I'm familiar with. All the books have the same structure. That's what gives them credibility, for example. So I'm adopting the intentional stance. I'm attributing intentions and thoughts and beliefs to these entities whose behavior I want to predict, but I'm doing it from a slightly adapted, more equipped position. Right now, TV or the electronic media suit, as Marshall McLuhan defines it, that's telegraph, radio, and TV. It actually distributes intention from across space and time. I can attribute mental states to a voice I'm hearing from the radio or to a character I'm seeing on TV, and even more. If I want to predict the behavior of someone that also watches TV, then I can do it based on the fact that he has watched the same TV as I have seen. For example, I can say, Michelle wants to date Joan because what I know from, or what I've learned from Sex and the City. Okay, so we have TV as an extension from human senses. That's the medium is the message kind of point that Marshall McLuhan made very clearly, and it affects the way I adopt the intentional stance. It affects the way I attribute mental states to whom I'm sharing the same epistemic environment with. Last example is the internet. So we're talking about more extended intentions that we attribute because we actually predict the behavior of systems based on the echo chamber that they are usually within. Let's say, I don't have a lot of time, so the behavior that I will predict for a user on Facebook will be a different mental states that I will predict for a behavior on Tinder, for example. That's because I'm attributing intentions that including the echo chambers or the algorithm that those other entities are affected by. The point that I try to make is that in each of these previous epochs, we can see conditions that help us stabilize our epistemic environment. Conditions for more, let's say, helpful intentional stance. So first of all, I need to be familiar with the epistemic background and the heritage. I'm sorry for stealing this word from you, but it is very helpful. So I'm familiar with the epistemic tools that those systems are powered by, and I'm familiar with their biological trace or evolutionary background. So this is one condition for a successful predictive strategy, for a successful intentional stance strategy. Then we can see also that same access to these epistemic technologies help me. It will be more easy for me to predict the behavior of someone who has access to TV and books and internet than to predict the behavior of someone that just came out of a cage and never read a book and never saw TV. Not only because of the content of this media, but because the way how you use the media extends your senses or changes how you perceive information from the world. So access to shared epistemic technology is a very helpful condition. Also, we can see that there is a good incentive to use the tool. If I'm sharing or if I'm familiar with the tool that other complicated systems are using to get knowledge about the world, I have good incentive to do it as well because it helps me predict their behavior. And the one thing that surprised me while doing this philosophical work is that you can also see that in each and previous cases, there was a clear distinction between the tool and the entity whose behavior you needed to predict. You can make a very clear distinction between the person and the book or the person and the TV. But now I would argue it's a little bit different because AI systems are not only systems whose behavior we want or need to predict, but they can also be used as an epistemic tool. LLMs can be used as an epistemic tool for inspecting and comparing and testing and validating our knowledge, but at the same time, some AI systems might be agents whose behavior we need to predict. So the bad news is that we will probably not share the same biological heritage or biological constraints with these very complicated systems, but the good news is that we we know what epistemic technology powers them. And from here, I would like to say that the minimum, or I think one useful thing that can be done to try to level up or to stabilize this epistemic environment is actually use AI as an epistemic technology, because it will make us a little bit closer to how to really understand how they behave. So, to conclude, my argument is that we all feel confused, the uncanny valley. Okay, for example, we feel confused when we talk to AI systems or AI agents, even when we see the outputs of AI agents, when we see a fake video, where there's something wrong about it. And I would argue that this confusion is because there is a disruption in the epistemic environment that we usually live in, and this confusion is because the fact that we share or we are familiar with the epistemic technology that powers AI systems, while we are not familiar with their biological and evolutionary trace. And that is unique, that is new, that's what causes this confusion, that's what causes the disruption. But I think that we can recalibrate, or at least try to harness AI systems that can be used as an epistemic technology to design, develop, validate, inspect, test different kind of knowledges. And because at the end, we want to make the epistemic environment that now we share with these AI systems more stable. By stable, it means a system in which it is, let's say, easier for us to predict their behavior and also other entities' behavior. And AI itself, or at least some uses of AI, can be one of the tools that will help us get there. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a few minutes for questions from the audience. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting, very enlightening. I wanted to ask you about what you said about using AI to find that stabilization of the epistemic environment. Because as you explained before, you said the problem is also that the tool is also the entity. How can we use AI to stabilize the epistemic confusion created by AI? How can we do that?
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. That's actually one of the challenges, but I will say that in the short term, you can actually use AI as an epistemic technology while you're talking to an AI agent who is a bot. You can use LLM to validate whatever you say to this booking AI agent that talks to you, and you can even do that. It will be helpful for you to do it even if you are not sure whether you are talking to a real agent or to a fake agent. If you're texting this customer service bot and he says, no, I'm John, just talk to me. You're not sure if he's really John, if it's an entity, you will not be able to distinguish, so just leave it like this. But at the same time, you can use the most updated, relevant, cutting-edge epistemic technology that humans invented, which are some uses of AI systems. You can use LLMs or ChatGPT or any other system to validate those truths. It will get you more closer to a more stabilized epistemic environment. That's the short term. On a more abstract level, I would even, and this is an argument that I need to process a little bit more, I would even say that by using AI systems as a tool, we are getting more, we are leveling up the conditions in which we need to predict the behavior of AI systems, and that is because they are by fact powered by these epistemic technologies. But that's a little bit more abstract, long run implications.
Hi, toda rabba. I wanted to ask you about, like you talk about AI system like LLMs are the only one that exists or actually matters, and they are the epistemic tools that we can use and validate from one perspective, and from the other perspective that might get us wrong. But as we know, or as I know, they're just stochastic parrots. And that's the problem. The problem is that they give you the knowledge that you already have. The thing is, AI systems, if we go with Lacan theory and what he's trying to develop, and others like in DeepMind, we are talking about systems that can interact with the world, with world models. And they will change the epistemic tools just because they will have a different kind of epistemic knowledge, because they will not rely on the knowledge that you gave them or feed them as parrots for I don't know, like, I don't know how many years we are doing LLMs. So this epistemic, I would say, paradigm that you build here is only relevant for LLMs. Don't you agree?
Thank you. I would say that, yeah, I'm using LLM as an example. I totally agree that some AI systems who are not only LLMs can be helpful as an epistemic tool. You can take Manus as an AI agent and ask it to make an inquiry about the world or deliver you some information-based paper of some kind. So yeah, it's not only LLMs that I'm talking about. AI agents can be used as a tool to design, develop, and deploy knowledge. That is a technological, I think, a fact. Now, regarding what you said about Lacan, yeah, his approach actually tries to change this in my model. He is saying that if we would give AI models more perceptual capabilities, they will have more accurate understanding of the world, and by accurate, he means understanding that we humans have about the world, and I would agree. And then they will be more close to humans as an intentional system whose behavior we need to predict. Because if you're working with the Daniel-Dennett framework, what makes the intentional stance a useful predictive strategy is that you are familiar with the epistemic needs, you are familiar with the epistemic capabilities of these complicated systems, and you are familiar with their biography, with their evolutionary constraints. So if they will share the same biological or some of the biological features as we do, then okay, good, because it will mean that the intentional stance would be even more helpful predictive strategy. I would even also say, that's one last sentence, that there is an approach in AI research to, for example, to try and implement biological, specific biological, not features, but like origins in these systems to make them more close to what we know about the world. And I agree, each of these promises or each of these tries will make us, will try this, if we try to make them more close to us, regarding whatever it means to be in the same biography or evolutionary constraints, then it is good news because it means that the same intentional stance can be helpful. But I don't think it will help. I'm just not, this is not like a share I would buy. Someone who invent in putting, I don't know, a liver in AI agent. But yeah, so I hope I've answered you.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you for